Hello and welcome back to my channel. Let's get into this Married at First Sight Denver reunion part 1. I just know Keisha said I am not dealing with this. I know those after parties took her out, and I can understand if you watched any of the after parties, like they were always just going at it. Emily was way too much in those after parties, so to have everybody there at one time, I would have called out that day too. But this reunion proves why every reality show should have a reunion after the audience has watched, because my whole perspective has changed after hearing just all the back and forth. And now I won't say the full truth came out, but some of the truth came out, giving a little bit more insight onto what was really going on behind the scenes, or even on camera, that they were trying to hint at. Like, you can't have a conversation about something that happened off camera, but you don't want to say what was off camera, but you want to have a conversation on camera. So it cleared up a lot of confusion for me. So let's get into it. There was honestly a lot that went on in these 2 hours, so I'm going to hit the highlights. I probably won't hit every single little point because there's just too much to hit, and a lot of it was just repeating the same stuff over and over, and just they weren't getting anywhere. But to start off with, all the girls wore pink except for Chloe. Now, watching all the after parties, they always wore pink, so I thought, that just had something to do with the show. Like, I don't know, I thought they told them to wear pink. So I thought that was why they were all wearing pink. But then the host asked all the ladies, why are you all wearing pink and not Chloe? So it turns out they had all gotten together. The original girls had gotten together. They have a good bond. They all talk daily. They're all friends, which I understand Chloe came in towards the end, but I still thought they would embrace her. Like, it's not like y'all have never met the girl. Like, y'all have met her. Y'all have talked to her. Like, y'all could have let her in on the synchronization of wearing pink. Like, I don't understand that point. Like, do y'all not have her number? Did nobody ever think to ask for her number? Like, you could have asked production, anything. So the fact that they just did not tell her to wear pink, I would have been so mad and annoyed. But they didn't tell her, and they said they wore pink for women's empowerment or something like that. And I was just like, okay, guys, like, y'all are doing too much. But yeah, Chloe didn't get the invite. So she was just off by herself wearing purple, which I still don't understand. In the seating chart, they had the men on the left with Chloe, and then the women on the right with Orion. And I just don't understand why they're on those sides. Like, why are those two not split? I don't know. Maybe it's also because Chloe didn't get the memo about the pink, so it would have looked weird having her there with the pink, without pink. So I don't know, but yeah, the seating chart and the fact that all the girls were pink except for Chloe, I know she felt a little like left out because her marriage also ended. So I'm sure she would want that support too from the other ladies. So I hate that they didn't embrace her more. Emily, of course, tries to talk for Claire. Emily wants to be the host just like so bad. I know in a previous like interview or something, like on the show, she said that she wanted to be a TV like personality when she was younger, or a TV host. I don't know why you didn't go for that, but like, this is not your audition right now. I am more than certain the way you have acted on these after parties and at this reunion, they are not going to bring you in as host, because she just doesn't stop talking. Like, she's always talking, always asking questions, always bringing up information. It's like, let the host do their job. If you had spoken up like this in your marriage, you probably wouldn't be in the predicament that you're in right now. So let the host do their job and you stay in your place. Like, it's just so annoying just hearing her constantly trying to take over every single conversation. It's like, this is probably why Brennan also didn't want to talk to you, because you probably did this when the cameras were off. They bring up Brennan asking Emily to delete some of her diaries, and he still just doesn't understand how that was controlling or how that was bad. And it's like, you should have never even asked her. He's like, I didn't make you delete them. I didn't delete them myself. But still the fact that you asked, like, what was she supposed to say? No, I'm keeping them. Like, that would have caused a completely different argument. So you should have never asked her. Like, those were her emotions and her feelings. It was her vent session. It wasn't like she got directly on the camera and said all of this. I understand you might be scared that, oh, what if the producers pull the show? But I mean, that's her venting session. Like, you can't control that. Did you do the things that she's venting about? Like, you can't control somebody else's emotions and feelings towards something that you are doing. So the fact that he still doesn't see how that is controlling, like, clearly there was something on there that you didn't want the public to know. And you were trying to control the narrative. So, I mean, and then he said something about he didn't want the producers to try to take this stuff and create this whole different storyline, which I understand reality TV is known for the producers like taking little clips of things and making their own storylines. But this was still her story. Like, this was her story. We may not have had the clip behind why she said this. That could have came out at a later date. But the fact that she still said this, like, this is still her story, and you are blocking her story from being told. Like, so now that this has come out, like, the story's going to come out either way. The producers are, not even the producers, the editors are good at their jobs at making whoever they want to look bad. So just let it come out the way it's going to come out. It's better to have the truth out. And, you know, people are going to have their opinions. Couples argue, you know, whatever. It's a completely different thing when we see that you were trying to control the narrative, because that makes it look worse. The men claim they just wanted some type of like privacy in their relationships, and I understand you might want privacy as you go through this journey. You know, you have people and cameras all in your face all day long while you're trying to get to know this stranger. But at the same time, if you want privacy, you do not come onto a reality television show. Like, where did y'all think y'all were? You did not meet this person at the bar. You came on to a reality television show. You've seen the show, right? Like, you know how this goes. So I don't know why they are acting like they just... I hate when people get on reality TV, and especially when it's like multiple seasons of the show. Please do not act like you have not seen not one season, not one episode to know how this is going to go. Like, what did you think you signed up for? Lauren said she believes Orion came onto the show just to represent his community, because he said something like on their wedding night or sometime about having this platform for his community. And I don't completely agree with that. I mean, of course, he talked about his heritage, which I think is fine. And he had the conversation with her about about his heritage. But that's obviously normal because y'all are in an interracial relationship. Like, you need to get to know each other's cultures, because if they are different, which I'm sure they are, like very different, you need to know like how something might happen and you might react this way, but he might react this way. So don't get offended by it because this is a cultural difference. So I thought that was kind of reaching to say he came on the show simply to represent his community, and she said like her being his wife is just like a consolation prize. I think that is just like, that's a wild thought for somebody to come onto a show simply to represent a community, because it's not like we don't know about his community. Like, he could do several things to represent his community. He could start a YouTube channel or something to represent his community. To come onto television, potentially look bad, and all this other stuff, I just don't think it was worth the risk. I think he meant more like this is the first time he has seen somebody like himself on TV, especially in this light. And I think she may have just read into it a little bit too much. This is where it started to get really good, because we finally got into this whole scheme plan situation that the ladies have been talking about. And they basically tried to say that Cam was the huge mastermind behind it. And if he was the mastermind, why did he leave? Like, come on now. So this is where I was so happy that they had this reunion so we could finally get down to the bottom of this. Because the whole like ending part of the season, the girls finally came out and talked about this, but they tried to make it seem like they had no idea about it. You guys have just been trying to protect your image. Y'all have been scheming against us, and that's all y'all care about. You keep talking about you want to protect us, protect us, protect us. But now we find out at the reunion that they were in on it too. And this is just, it confused the mess out of me because they admitted to knowing about it. They admitted to going along with it. But they still tried to put all the blame on the men. They're like, well, y'all are the ones that brought it up. We just went along with it. But like, where is your accountability in this? Like, okay, you admit that you shouldn't have gone along with it, but okay, you were part of the problem. You were part of the problem, and then you stopped doing your part, and now you want to act like the men are doing something wrong when y'all had already agreed to this. They're only acting on what y'all had already agreed on. And if you all agreed to say yes at decision day and figure it out after the fact, like, what are y'all confused about? Like, y'all went back on the plan. Y'all went back on the plan, and now you're trying to just throw it all onto them, and I just don't think that is fair. Like, it's both sides' fault at this point because y'all were in on it. And the fact that y'all sat up here trying to act like these strong women, but then in the same breath be like, well, we just went with the flow. We just followed our husband's lead. We just wanted to stand by our man. Okay, you can't sit up here and say that you're strong women, but at the same time act like you were so weak that you couldn't speak up and say that you didn't like something from the beginning before agreeing to it. So this part just blew my mind, and it's the fact that as y'all are talking, you're still just trying to put all the blame on them. That is absolutely wild to me. So Cam tries to throw it back into Claire's court, saying that she had some boyfriend that she was in love with and they were dating like during the experiment. And Claire's reaction was priceless. But I do remember Cam saying something when they all met up that time, like the day after decision day. When they all met up, Cam said something that I think went over a lot of people's heads. He said that Claire was sitting there texting him because she likes to control the narrative. And he said that she was texting him like, don't say this, don't say that. So he said that all the way back then before we had even started seeing this, like everything going on. So I think, I believe Cam, because like, why did he say it back then? And he's saying it again now, but like nobody's listening to him. Like he hasn't switched up with his story. Like the girls, they switched up with their stories, but he has stayed consistent in Claire trying to like manipulate him to say this and say that. So I think honestly he just got tired of it because you're trying to like go after me and stand by the other women when you know I've been protecting you for real, like because you've been controlling what I say. So I would have got annoyed too and just went on and called her out for it, but I thought that was super interesting that nobody had picked up on what he said before and what he said tonight. Becca and Austin have a moment. Basically, they said the same thing over again. He's never going to admit that he wasn't attracted to her, and at least Becca can admit she regrets going along with the plan in the first place. I mean, I think she's like the only one who said like outright, or she was like the first one to say outright that she regrets going along with the plan. So I'm happy she can at least admit that truth right there. Claire's biggest issue is the weight comment about tall and slim, but Cam actually said European and slender. And she was trying to point out girls like wherever they were when they had this conversation to see what he meant by slender, and that she thought he called her a small flat-butted lady. So I am very much confused because the way she has been saying it is like, oh, he said I wasn't his type, he asked for this, and I'm not that. But what actually happened was y'all sat down and said what you asked for from the experts. Like, he just listed what he asked for, so I don't understand why she's saying that he's not attracted to her, because European to me just means white, okay, which you are. Slender, I think you're slender. Like, I don't understand where her problem is with the comment, especially from what he said, that you also said he was the exact opposite of what you originally liked or what you asked for. Like, most people who come onto the show, they do not get their normal type. Like, that's the whole point. You've been dating people like this in the outside, like in the regular world. You come onto the show so they can match you up with your perfect match. And just the fact of the matter is, most of the times we do not go for our perfect match. We go for the wrong people. And that's what this whole experiment is about. So I'm not really sure where she got, like, he wasn't attracted to her. Like, I'm so confused by that part. And why would, if he asked for slender, why would you be mad if he called you flat butted? Because, I mean, that would go along with being slender. So that means you are literally his type. So I, I don't know where that was. I was like, you're kind of picking at straws right there. But y'all shouldn't have been having that conversation anyways. Like, who cares what y'all asked for? Just, you should have trusted the experts did good and see why did they choose each of you for each other. Just judging off of both their reactions to different things, I fully believe Cam on this situation. Like, I feel like he may have been, like, set up by Claire and manipulated. I can see if he said that she manipulated him, like she's a therapist or whatever she is. So she has the tools and the knowledge to know how to manipulate him if she wanted to. And I mean, when he talks, he just sounds like he's telling the truth. Like, his story just doesn't change. That's how I tell if somebody's telling the truth. Like, is your story changing? And he has not budged in the least bit. All his stuff lines up. He's telling the truth. He's lining up everything. Like, he's being open and everything. But her stuff, like, it just doesn't. It's not adding up. Like I said, the weight thing. Like, that's a completely different connotation and situation. So her stuff hasn't lined up this whole time, but his has. And you can tell in the beginning he was really into her. He was trying, but she was not budging in the least bit. So I don't know what she means by he wasn't attracted to me. You were the one who didn't want to be physical. I'm pretty sure he said multiple times that he wanted to be physical, but you didn't. Which I'm pretty sure is the reason why he left in the first place, because he felt like you weren't attracted to him. So I don't know. I'm on Cam's side with this one. Then Cam had the audacity to ask for a second chance. At this point, I was ready to turn off the TV. Like, what are you actually talking about? Whatever plan y'all schemed up, you have to still be in the middle of the plan right now, because you cannot be for real. You cannot be for real. Y'all are going back and forth about who manipulated who, and you have the nerve to ask for a second chance? Like, really? And Claire is like, no, you called me psychotic. Like, I just don't understand. But he said it's because she kept trying to meet up with him, but she would keep canceling. So then eventually he said that he didn't want to meet up with her because her energy was too chaotic, which I completely understand. When people go back and forth about plans, I no longer want to meet up with you. Like, I'm not going to take the effort to get out of my bed and get ready to meet up with you if I know you're such a wishy-washy person. Like, just forget about it. If you happen to see me out, you'll see me out. So I can completely understand Cam being like, no. Like, we're not going to go back and forth. I'm not about to block out my day for you just for you to cancel last minute. The psychotic comment, I mean, he might be onto something. Honestly, he might be. But Claire said she's in a relationship or she's talking to somebody right now. And I want to know, is it the one from the experiment that he mentioned in the beginning? Like, we need to go back to that whole boyfriend situation. She claims it was a year before filming. But I think Cam would know the difference between we dated a year before filming and we're dating now. I think there's a very big difference in the language and the timeline. I don't know how he would get that confused. So, but y'all need to revisit that in part 2. It was now Becca and Austin's turn. The host got right to it. He was like, what was real and what was not? Becca and Austin have already admitted to having conversations off camera, so that's not surprising, and she only really brought her grievances to on camera after she thought he was being fake, and I think to get back at him for not sleeping with her. I mean, she may have been honestly just a little bit frustrated, but so they get to the topic of intimacy, and Becca said he pushed her away during a hug, like a fully clothed hug. Like, that's all it was. I think it was kind of a long hug. And he was like, horny butt or something like that. Like, that's when it starts to get weird. Like, your wife can't touch you without you being weird. Like, I mean, I can understand if she was trying to initiate something, like force herself onto you, but like a hug, you think a hug is horny? People hug their grandparents. People hug strangers when they first meet. Like, are you serious? But I mean, this is why people are questioning. I never questioned if he was gay. I questioned, did he have an erectile dysfunction and he just doesn't want to talk about it on camera. Like, maybe he was scared she would bring it up on camera. Because something's just not adding up. I'm sorry, just something. It was not adding up at all. But that's none of my business. Then they replay a clip of Austin saying he normally waits 3 to 6 months. I think everything would have been completely different if he had just said that from the beginning, like just given her a timeline to go off of, like just saying like, oh, we're working towards it, but like giving her nothing is just a completely different thing. And even she said, like, I asked you several times, like, what have your past relationships been like? What have the past timelines been like? And he just didn't want to answer the question. I don't know why he avoided giving her that answer. So I feel like he kind of just made it up, like, after so many people kept coming for him. Like, he just was like, I just had to give some type of answer. But I mean, it may be the truth. But if it was the truth, like, why wouldn't you just tell her that? Like, you could have cut out so many arguments at this point. Austin said the wedge between them was everyone asking, which makes sense. You don't want to feel pressured into it. Then Becca said it was him going out with the producer. Like, this was interesting because I heard a rumor about this producer being fired. I'm not sure if that is true or not. Honestly, you should be fired if you are messing with the couples, like the current couples. I know there was an old, like in the original experts, there was a expert who started dating one of the ex-cast members, but that cast member had already divorced his wife, and I know she's off the show now, so I don't know if they forced her to quit or fired her, whatever. I don't know if that was going on during the show, but I feel like it doesn't make a difference if it's after the show and you didn't interfere with the experiment. But if the producer was going out with him during the show, like, yeah, that makes a big difference, because how is he supposed to sit over here and get to know this girl, but you're over here going out with him? Like, you're on a show for people getting married too. Like, why are you trying to break up their marriage? Like, it's very weird. I would love for them to show and bring out the producer. Like, if you have the audacity to sit up here and play with somebody else's marriage like that, you should have the audacity to come on camera and tell everybody the truth about why you're just a snake. But anyways, Becca said he wanted to say yes regardless and then figure it out afterwards, which is the same thing Brennan said. We know plans were made, so how did they all end up saying no at the end but them? That is my question. And was this also part of the plan for them all to just say yes? I mean, we see Kim wanted a second chance, so I mean, I just don't understand how we all ended up at no, but some of y'all are saying like yes or redo. I don't understand that part. So I guess they went through with the plan. I know Becca said she regrets it, but obviously you were still going through with it if you just said yes, because there were plenty of red flags before all this. And I don't understand the situation about the producer, like going back to that, because she said that was the wedge, but that happened after they said yes. So that definitely ended their relationship, but what was the actual wedge for Becca? Because there were plenty of red flags before decision day. So I just feel like she was still going along with the plan up until that point, until the producer. But the producer was after the fact of you saying yes. You should have went on and said no on decision day. Like, you already had all these red flags in front of you. He left the house. Like, there was no reason for you to say yes. So, like, you still going along with the plan, and then just because you think he's cheating now, you want to just say, I regret it. Like, girl, you had plenty of time to get out of this plan, and you kept going with it. Honestly, listening to Becca describe him, he sounds like a people pleaser to me, and maybe that's where the disagreement or the misunderstandings were coming from, because she's felt like he didn't really have, he wasn't going to focus on her because he focused on whatever he thought was like a priority at that time. But that's just because he was trying to people please. So if this person over here, he needed to people please this person, he had to focus on that person. So I mean, maybe if she understood that part of him, maybe some of their misunderstandings could have been handled a little bit better. But the host, I loved the host for this show because he was not playing. I feel like he came in, he had already heard about these people. I think he was just already on ready for their mess. So he was like, I gave y'all the opportunity to tell the truth. Well, specifically Austin. He gave Austin the opportunity to tell the truth and put it all on the table, and he didn't. Austin did not like that, but the host got him together. I'm sure he knows about the producer. He should have spilled the tea. Austin came to Becca afterwards to cry. I seriously don't understand these men. Like, I seriously don't. But the producer should have went on and said what he needed to say, because he said, you know, you think this is the first time you're seeing me, but obviously I'm part of the process and I know things and I know you're not telling everything. 100% he knows about that producer, and he should have just went on and told, just spread the tea. Like, if he wanted to act offended by you saying that he didn't tell the full truth, go ahead and tell us what the full truth is and just force him to tell the truth. Like, why are y'all so scared to just put the truth out there? Just put it out there. Who cares? Why are y'all trying to coddle his feelings? Tell the truth. Let it fly. We get to Chloe and Michael. Chloe claims Michael said there wouldn't be a reason to change her last name, and that stuck with her like during the whole process. But Michael said it was up to her how she wanted her name. Like, she could keep her name, she could take his last name, or she could hyphenate it. He said he kept it more open, but that's not how Claire remembers it. That's not how Chloe remembers it. Sorry. She said it was very much, you don't have a reason to change your name. So Chloe also had a problem with him not telling his mom, and she claims that's why she left, like, early on when she left to go be with her dogs, because she felt like he wasn't in it for her. But then she says later, I started thinking back on everything after the no on decision day. I think Chloe got the bad edit all the way until the end. She seemed very closed off and judgy of Michael. And we know Michael was a fan favorite, so maybe she's trying to shift that now that he said no, because that kind of did make Michael look bad in the end because everybody thought they were a good match. So maybe she's trying to go ahead and push him on out there with the other men to look bad, so her edit doesn't look as bad. Because if you're claiming these are the two reasons why you left in the beginning, but then at the same time, you're like, oh, well, I actually started thinking about it after the no on decision day. Like, which one is the truth? And I don't think that's why she left that first time. Like, I don't think that was the reason she left. I think she's just trying to make it seem like that, because that looked very bad on her to just up and leave, especially when you know the situation he had with his first, like, match. That looked very bad on her. So I don't know. I think she's trying to just change the narrative around that. So I'm not going to take whatever she had to say about that, because it didn't even make sense. Like, when did it really come up? But yeah. They discussed why Michael said no on decision day. He said it wasn't her per se. He just thinks they didn't have a solid foundation to know that they could move forward into the future together. I honestly think it was those foster kids in the animal sanctuary. Like, seriously, you want 5 foster kids to each have their own bedroom. That means you need a minimum 6-bedroom house, plus enough land to house all these animals. Like, whatever house or I think it was a house, whatever house they went to go look at towards the end, that house was expensive. And it was only a 2-bedroom house. So to imagine, like, this is the market you're looking at right here. This was a 2-bedroom house, and you want a 6-bedroom house with land for animals. Like, girl, that is a lot of money. You're looking at bare minimum $1 million. compared to that 2-bedroom house, just going off the price of that 2-bedroom house, you're looking at a good million, girl. Like, each person have their own bedroom, and then you need to feed all these mouths. Like, you need to feed the animals, you need to feed the kids. Are you still working while you have this animal sanctuary? Because when are you even going to have time to do all this and take care of all these kids? Like, you cannot just collect a bunch of foster kids and then not give them any attention. Like, it was, I think that's what did it in. And I just think he didn't want to tell her, because I don't think he wanted to discourage her from like a future partner. I'm sure there's a partner out there who'll be rich enough to afford all this stuff and who will go with her vision. But I just think that was not Michael. And I think that's why he just didn't want to tell her, like, that was the reason. Because I think everything else he was okay with up until that point. So I don't think he wants her to feel like it was all her fault that the relationship ended. I think Chloe really wanted to say, I'm offended because you weren't my type and you turned me down. Like, you could just see, like, it was on the tip of her tongue, but she didn't say it. She didn't say it, but I know that's what she was thinking. Like, I compromised my type for you just for you to end the marriage. So I think that was her biggest issue. Like, how are you not going to be my type and then you turn me down? So all the ladies now come back out to the stage. Before this, they showed like them in the back, like all together dancing, except for Chloe. Like, I still just don't understand why. Like, even when y'all are here all together, y'all still did not like go talk to Chloe. Like, she is going through the same exact thing y'all are going through, maybe a little bit differently, just because Michael's a little bit more respectful and he's nicer and he wasn't in on all the schemes. But she still went through a divorce. Like, she still went through the process. So the fact that y'all are kind of isolating her, I did not like that. I was like, y'all look like a clique of mean girls on the prowl at this reunion. But the host asked what caused everybody to get together and come up with this plan in the first place. Emily said the men were basically immature and the women had the right mindset. I'm guessing she means standing behind their men. But this was different. Y'all are trying to eliminate your part in this. Like I said in the beginning, they are not taking any accountability with this. It's just, we were following them. So I agree with the host. Y'all call yourselves strong women, but at the same time, you are trying to say you were so weak that you just followed these men and followed their lead to your ultimate destruction of your marriages. So they played a clip of them all discussing the lack of sex in their relationships and the fact that the girls think it's a conspiracy theory that none of the men wanted to do anything. While I do find it weird that none of them did it, I don't think they all agreed on it, because I do think Cam definitely wanted to. She didn't want to, so I don't even know why Claire was sitting there like echoing the other girls, because he clearly wanted to. But the other girls, yeah, they may be onto something. I think Brennan's situation is a lot different from Austin's situation, so I don't think they agreed on it. I think it was all just different situations, just happened to be weird in their own way. But Emily discussed her accident and Brennan and how like her feelings changed after the fact. She said she started to catch feelings because that was the first time seeing him in that way, and that she thinks he tried to use it to come out on top looking good and finally getting a good edit, and she's happy it didn't work. I don't agree. He may not have liked her in that way, but it costs you nothing to be kind to someone while they are hurt and down. Like, you never saw that side of him because he doesn't like you. So I don't think it had anything to do with his edit at that point. Like, your head was literally busted open, bleeding. Like, what did you want him to do? Start yelling at you? Start having an argument? Like, no. Of course he was going to help you out in that time period. Especially, he may have been scared too. You never know. You keep claiming you almost died. Like, maybe he was scared too. Like, what if you did right in front of him while y'all were just trying to have some fun, and he probably had some stuff on his mind that he wanted to tell you probably thinking, oh my God, this girl's gonna just kick the bucket while she still thinks I hate her. You never know what was going through his mind. So to think that he was just thinking about an edit during something like this, I don't know what to say about Emily. She's just a whole case of her own, in my opinion. So we end with Brennan and Emily. I wish Brennan would just tell Emily the truth. She said she could take it, so just tell her, like, why won't you just tell her the truth? He doesn't see how he was controlling. At this point, y'all just stop going back and forth with it. Like, he's just never gonna see it at this point. But the episode ends with Emily bringing up all these rumors about Brennan trying to cheat. So that will be in part 2 of the reunion. Like, the fact that this was part 1 and it was 2 hours and we still like haven't gotten through all the rumors and all this other stuff. We haven't even gotten to Lauren and Orion yet. This was just part of Brennan and Emily's story, and then we still have to see all the men together, and then we have to see them all come back together and still discuss things. Like, oh my God, y'all had so much drama, and it's all coming back to this plan. It's all coming back to this plan. If they had never did this plan, like, everything would have been fine. I'm so confused on how they thought this plan was going to work. I'm confused on what all this plan even entailed. Like, what were the actual parameters of this plan? Because it sounds like y'all just didn't want to give the producers anything bad to make any of y'all look bad, like, after the fact. Like, because y'all still had to go back to regular life. Like, y'all are not celebrities. Y'all are not about to get a second reality show or anything like that. So you still have to go back and watch and have your bosses, future bosses, watch this, your future coworkers. If it doesn't work out with you guys, your future partners are going to see this. So I can understand, like, let's not give the producers anything bad to make us look bad out here. But at the same time, off camera, where y'all not fostering relationships, like, it seems like y'all genuinely just did not like each other, because off camera you had plenty of time to put together a genuine relationship, and it just seems like that was not happening. So I would love to know what were the original parameters of this plan and how it just went off the rails so fast. Like, I just think they were all acting so fake. Like, they forgot when the cameras were off, we can be real. So I hope this is a lesson to future seasons. Like, let's not do this. Let's not make up a plan like this. Like, you have your relationship over there, I'll have my relationship over here. Let's not all follow the bandwagon, because y'all all look bad at this point. That was the end of the episode. Please let me know down below, how did you like the reunion? Are you ready for part 2? And who do you think is the mastermind behind the big plan? Was it Cam or was it Claire? And if you like this video, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next week.